recording.
Yay!
Anyways, we are here to yap.
Yes, to yap, blab, and other things.
Mm-hmm. I am Zach with my co-host,
Natalie.
and today we are talking about a game. A game called Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And what our thoughts are on the game, basically.
It's an offshoot of... This episode's going to be an offshoot of For the Lore.
Or a completely different series.
We don't know yet. Just go along with us.
Yep. Anyways, did you like the game?
Yes. Granted, I only watched.
Yes, I'm the one who played. And...
This is not going to be spoiler-free.
oh, there are definitely spoilers.
So, if you want to avoid spoilers, do not listen or watch this episode until you're done, or you don't care about spoilers. Then continue watching or listening to us. Blab.
Anyways, while I enjoyed the game, I did have some gripes with it.
Minor gripes, really? Well, in the overall enjoyment of the whole game, they're minor gripes.
One of which is that due to how the game does saving, where it automatically saves, and while you can go back to previous saves, it's only like 3 or 4 previous saves, I think.
Might be up to 5, or there's like a special slot and then other slots.
But the exact number is not too important. But especially on the world map, if you shove your face into the right things, you can get your characters stuck.
Yes, stuck running.
And especially earlier in the game, you really have no way to get your characters unstuck. So if you manage to do the things that cause the game to save too many times, you could get stuck there and not be able to get out whatsoever and just have to restart the game. Still, that was one of my main gripes with the game.
Which is more of an early game, sort of.
Yeah. Well, once you have the ability to A, destroy most things you'd get stuck on, B, run about or fly, that's not really a problem.
Yes.
Yeah. My other gripe is more a problem that comes about when you combine several things and factors about the gameplay that by themselves aren't problems whatsoever and are actually probably positives. That being that due to the gameplay being one that you kind of have to focus on all the time, you don't really have a way to skip battle or auto battle or things of that sort. So that just sort of makes it a bit annoying and mentally draining if you want to go and do any sort of grinding.
Yeah, especially if you're grinding for levels.
Yeah, or upgrading weapons.
That too.
Yeah. But, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's very minor gripe.
Seeing as I don't think you had to grind as much in this game compared to, like, some other RPGs.
Expedition 33 ends up being the kind of game that solely dependent on how well you can time your dodges, counters, and attacks. You probably don't need to grind whatsoever to even beat the hardest enemies in the game. It might take a while because you can't do a lot of damage, but you do not need to grind if you're skilled enough.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Anyways, that's gripes out of the way.
Well, I have one gripe, and that's technically a spoiler for the end of the story.
Okay.
And it's really not that big of a gripe. It's just you didn't find out more about the writers.
No.
It was just like, oh yeah, writers and the painters are having some conflict. The end. It's like,
Yeah. With that, it's really kind of a case of, I mean, you can assume they have somewhat similar powers to the painters,
yes.
likely. But as for what that conflict actually was, or what their actual powers are, we have no idea. It doesn't really explain.
Yep.
Other than that conflict led to part of the house being burned down.
Yep. And it didn't really explain like what started the conflict exactly.
Well, it might be a generational conflict that the reason it started doesn't really matter anymore.
Yes, but they didn't even really say that either.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, that's kind of a thing that like you get it at the end, so they're probably thinking, "Oh, if this does well, we can do a second game and it's
Yeah,
more focused on this."
yeah, and they are likely trying to make a Clair Obscur series, assuming the games do well, which the first one did well.
Hmm.
The first one did really well.
Yeah.
So, wouldn't be surprised if in like might even be 3 or 4 years down the line, we might hear or something about there being another one in the works.
Possibly. But yeah, that was like my only real gripe about the game. Watching the game,
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. I didn't play, so.
Yeah, but as for the main story, he relating to the game story itself, not these things that honestly don't matter too much to the uh, core story of the game. I thought that was really well told and really well done.
Yes. I thought that they went about telling the story slowly enough, but quick enough, so the pacing was just right,
Mm-hmm.
that you got the information and didn't feel overwhelmed with it.
Yeah, and didn't mm, it didn't really ever feel like these loose ends were left alone so long that you feel like they forgot about them.
And then until the end, and then you're like,
Yeah.
wait, what? You mean that one thing that was way in the beginning was
Mm-hmm.
important?
Yeah, they at least left a couple breadcrumbs and foreshadowing really related to those loose ends that it you didn't feel like they forgot them or something along the way.
And what I really kind of enjoyed is that um, the story, even though this is kind of our experience of the story together, me watching and him playing, is that we had ideas of how the story would go really early on.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, okay, they're talking about paint, they're talking about ink and this. And we had ideas of like, oh, this is a paint world very early on. And the cataclysm, I believe, or was a catastrophe,
Something along
something
those
of
lines.
those arts, happened, and they were split off. And it was like, well, what if they were put into a paint world because the world essentially went nuclear or
Yeah.
something, and this was
Or
the only way to save them.
yeah, yeah. Or what about there's one of the theories I had earlier on is that, that all these people living in Lumiere are not the original people and were uh, people created by the paintress to replace everyone who died in this cataclysm or something. And the paintress is slowly running out of power, which is where the gommage comes from. That's one of my original theories. But that's not entirely the case.
No, but it is actually mostly the case.
It's not entirely far off.
Yeah,
I
it's not actual people from outside,
yeah.
sort of thing.
What ends up being the case is that a technically the paintress had nothing to do with creating the world. That was is the it wasn't the
Well,
paintress.
yeah,
It was it was Verso, the original Verso from outside the painting, who created the painting with,
yeah.
that contains the world, who's also the one who died in the fire from the conflict between the writers and painters.
Yes.
You know, after which the paintress, who is the mother of this family of painters, if I remember correctly.
Yes, she is the mother.
Yeah. Mm, basically, went into Verso's painting and stayed there for much longer than is healthy, and created a version of their family inside the painting, which is where some of the characters you play come from. Well, mainly Verso.
Well, I want to say she started it just to basically bring back
Yeah,
Verso,
yeah,
essentially. And then it was oh, create this world around him so he actually has a world rather than he's just in a canvas sort of thing.
yeah.
And then the father went in to bring back the mother.
Yes, but
It
it,
didn't go well.
no, they ended up fighting, and if I remember correctly, the paintress is up on top of the you know, tower that the numbers are written on, whereas Renoir is was trapped
Below.
below.
Yeah, that's what I remember too.
Yeah.
And the big paintress is not the actual paintress.
No,
Paintress.
and also the Renoir you fight here and there throughout the game is different Renoir from the Renoir trapped underneath the tower.
Ah, yes.
The Renoir you fight is the Renoir that the paintress created.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to be confusing or anything.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is kind of confusing until you start piecing everything together, and it's like, okay, so this is this and that's that.
Yeah. But as as we yeah, may have alluded to, there are definitely clues for, at the very least, this being a world within a painting or a painted world even from like the first few minutes.
I think it was a little after the first few minutes, but
Well, if you look through the look at the world and all that, and then also they keep mentioning chroma and things of that
yeah.
sort. Uh, It definitely gives the feeling that uh, art and color and things that sort are very important to the world. And then once you get out of Lumiere and see some of the environments, it it does not feel like a world that is physically possible. Well, it
Gravity kind of
yeah,
just.
it feels like essentially the kind of world that you'd be able to create through either painting, drawing, writing, or what have you. Of the rules are whatever you uh, make up about it, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Mm, so there are some contextual clues that the world is a painting from very early on, but uh, for all you know, up until what, end of Act 2, Act 3, somewhere around there.
Act 3, I believe, is when you really find out. And then epilogue
Mm-hmm.
happens, is when you really, really find out about
Yeah,
stuff.
but up until then, it's more some minor context clues, guesswork, and things of that sort.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then, of course, you get to mm, Act 3 and all that, and it's like, oh, oh, I see. So that's what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah. I do agree, I would like to know more about this conflict between the writers and painters.
I know because they just slotted it in at towards the end, and it's like,
Yeah, but it, but yeah, it is one of those things of to the main story of the game itself, it's not all that important that what the details of it are, just that there's a conflict and that caused this event to happen.
well, it's also it hints at the writers and the painters are having a conflict because they can create essentially
Mm,
amazing worlds and this, and they have powers essentially. Um, so it's like, okay, there's that, but then we only see one family of painters. And so it's like, is it just their family against another family? Or is it all writers and all painters? Is it writers, painters, sculptors, and so forth, and
yeah,
anyone that creates things?
is there a, a set of powers for each creative field? Like, do you have the filmmakers versus as the photographers or something?
I don't know, but it just has this feel of like there's something going on, and something that the people that create things in such a way or really creative can harness this power to literally create their own worlds.
Yeah, which realistically, a lot of that is probably metaphorical for uh, creating in general.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
but I mean, it does lead you into where are they gonna go with this?
Yes, it is a world I would like to know more about.
Yes. Another thing we really enjoyed was how everything looked.
Yes,
The aesthetics, the colors, the.
it was a very colorful post-apocalyptic world,
Well, yes, but.
which for post-apocalyptic worlds can be kind of rare.
Yes. Yes.
Post-apocalypses do have a tendency to be grays and browns.
Yes. This was reds, whites, and blues, and other things.
Yeah.
With some browns, blacks,
Mm-hmm.
so forth, so forth.
Yeah.
I think the most, uh, I will say, dreary look of them, the most post apocalyptic, is technically sort of the uniforms that you're given starting out, going out. It's like
mm-hmm.
they're all blacks with a little bit of gold. Kind of like, I think it's Art Deco sort of style.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and that's probably the most bland of everything. Because once you get out into off of your little city island thing, Lumiere, you go into a totally different world that starts out like so dark when you get there, and then it's just flashes of light here and there, and bam, then you're in a different place when you wake up, and it's just like, oh my gosh, there is a lot of color here.
Yeah. And then, of course, the juxtaposition of the vibrant, colorful environments with a lot of places there are essentially corpses just littering the place.
Yes, and it's like dark, light, vibrant, dull, or saturated, and it's like there's so much contrast here
Mm-hmm.
that it's like
In
everything feels different.
yeah, a lot of contrast between themes, colors, and
The enemies too,
mm-hmm.
and how they treat you, how they attack you, even, um,
Mm-hmm.
how they sound too.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned the music.
Yes, I know. I was getting there. I was going for the looks first,
Yeah, yeah.
and then going into the music because, um, I was gonna go talk about the enemies designs because the enemies are so different in different
Mm-hmm.
areas too.
Yeah,
And you get like these enemies that are like, okay, what are them? And you go from these are like so weird looking,
yeah.
and then you're like, oh, it's a humanoid. Okay.
And I don't think there were all that many, if any, of enemies that are just this enemy with a different color palette, other than like, here's this enemy, here's this very hard for unique version of this enemy that does special stuff and usually has more attacks that does.
Yeah, I think the only enemy technically that had different looks is the mimes. But there was a reason for it.
Yeah.
The reason for having the mimes with different looks is because you got your clothes and hairstyles from them.
Yep.
You beat them up and you got a different hairstyle or different look for your characters to run around in.
Yeah. I think most of the various parts of the baguette outfit came from mimes.
Yes, I believe so. Uh,
Which, for those of you who don't know what the baguette outfit looks like, it is the most stereotypical French outfit you can think of, with a red beret, a striped shirt, and a baguette on their back, and round sunglasses.
yeah.
The only thing that would make it more stereotypical is if they had a cigarette in their mouth or something.
Yes, but I have to say, I don't think anyone was smoking in a painting.
No. In fact, depending on the physics of creating a world in a painting, the entire world might be highly flammable.
That is true. Granted, they would be not really smoking, so
Is that why fire is such a good strategy in burning?
maybe. I'm yes, maybe.
Since other than some very specific enemies that are either immune to fire or heal from fire,
Mm,
everything can take burning damage, and you can stack up burning to Timbuktu for all the game cares. Though there is, for most of the game, a limit on how much damage you can do in one hit.
yes, but that limit goes off eventually, so
Once you get to Act 3 and get the Picto you need
yes, technically.
to remove the limit.
Um, but yeah, each enemy, for the most part, was different. You
Mm-hmm.
might have had like smaller enemies, sort of versions,
Mm-hmm.
to some degree with some of them, or like I believe Clair Obscur,
Mm.
the enemy Clair, and then Obscure, and then Clair
Yeah.
Obscure, sort of thing, and that sort of thing where there was like, so, but it didn't feel like repetitive with the enemies. It
No.
was like in this area you'll face these enemies, but it's always this enemy. It's not, oh, you face a harder version with slightly different colors.
Yeah. The only time it started feeling repetitive is if you were trying to grind or farm for times you need to upgrade weapons or something of that sort.
Yes, but that's grinding. You have
Yeah.
to expect the repetitiveness
Yeah.
coming out of that, or coming with that. Um, but yeah, I have nothing more on the enemies for the most part without getting into like the sounds that they make, which then lead into the music, which is like,
Which,
okay,
okay, do you want to move on to music now or characters?
maybe move on to the music first because that might be slightly shorter than characters.
Okay.
Only slightly though.
Oh, for that, names of enemies.
Oh,
Uh, very entertaining because if you don't speak French, it's like, oh, I'm sure this is some fancy, well thought out name. No, it basically they had someone who was in charge of naming the enemies, and whatever came to mind in the first few seconds of seeing the enemy's design, I mean, is what got named. Like you have sacapatat, which, if you speak French, basically means sack of potatoes, and they are basically a big cloth giant enemy that kind of looks like a giant sack.
yeah.
Or there's an enemy called grosse tête, which just means big head, and it's a giant head. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, if you do speak French, over in the music, there are some songs early on in the game where if you can actually apparently understand what they're singing in the song, tells you a lot about the story, or you long before you actually learn it through the story.
Well, I don't speak French.
And I am very rusty.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyways, the music. I don't know if there's any track on the soundtrack that I didn't like.
actually didn't like, no. There's no soundtrack I didn't like. Or song I didn't like. There are some songs where I ended up with, like, depending on my mood, where I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I can't listen to this right now,
Yeah.
sort of thing. But then that's more down to my mood, not the music itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing against the music whatsoever.
Yeah. And I don't think there were even any songs that were uh, the type of song that you get tired of listening to after a little while.
Well, it was more orchestral, which
Mm-hmm.
you get. Well, it's less of the same beat over and over again, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like you listen to it and it sounds the
Yeah.
same the whole time,
And
or after a while.
also all of the songs were uh, different from each other and was even different instruments, different genres. And
Yeah,
there was no two songs alike.
yeah.
Yeah. Other than I wouldn't be surprised if there's songs later on in the game who, well, that have essentially callbacks to a song earlier on in the game.
Well, seeing as how long ago that might have been, we didn't notice
Yeah.
really. So
Well, I don't remember the actual names of the tracks, but for example, from what I remember hearing about other people talking about it, in the song where you're actually yeah, that plays while you're fighting Mael, well, at the very end,
okay,
there are some callbacks in that song to like the beginning of the game, and particularly in the song that plays only when you're fighting Mael for the tutorial.
yeah, I don't remember that.
I wasn't expecting you to. There's quite a few hours between the two.
Yes.
But it is interesting that you start the game learning how to fight by fighting Mael, you end the game by fighting Mael.
Well, I guess which fight with Mael? The very end when you actually choose to get her out of the
At
painting?
the very end, I honestly don't know exactly what happens if you choose the other option since I didn't do it.
Yeah, well, we figured that kind of meant she stays in and then she literally becomes the paintress, sort of,
Yeah.
all over again.
Yep.
But yeah, so that fight, I don't remember the tutorial fight with music exactly. I was like, that's way too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah.
saying that I wouldn't recognize the music if I heard
Yeah.
it again. It's just, I don't know
Yeah.
now. Which is,
And then technically going back to the story for a smidge.
go ahead.
Yeah. While I don't know the specifics of what happens in one ending versus another, I did like that it definitely seemed like there wasn't really a this is the good ending, this is the bad ending. They were both a mix of good and bad depending on what your priorities were for the ending.
Yeah, it kind of like what you wanted to
Yeah.
see out of the ending
Or or I guess another way to put it, there wasn't really a true ending.
that we know of.
Well, I mean that might change if they decide to make a an actual sequel rather than uh, if they make another game set in the same world, but might be happening around the same time, or could even be happening before Expedition 33. Could be part of what leads to the writers burning down part of the house.
Yeah. We don't know yet.
Well, they've said nothing about
Exactly.
what it'd be, so, yeah. Now, I think it might be time to move on to characters.
Oh, okay. On to characters then.
Which
Which one do we want to start with?
might as well start with Gustav since
No,
he
okay.
is the title character for the first act.
Yes. And I have to say, I knew just the way that they introduced him and the prologue and everything. It just felt like you knew he was going to die at some point. I thought he was going to die at the end of the first prologue.
And not to mention, from a gameplay perspective, with specifically his weapons and all that, they didn't really have all that much special about them compared to the other characters' weapons.
Mm, yeah,
At least when they're equipped on Gustav.
yeah. But let's put it this way. I knew he was probably going to die. I didn't know that they would have waited that long to kill him off.
Yeah. But also,
And by that time, it was like, oh my gosh.
but also, what are you going to do in an act called Gustav with a dead Gustav?
Yes, that is true. But, I mean, it was so long, and you're like, oh, maybe I was just overthinking. And then it's like, oh, no, no, don't die on me. And yeah.
Yeah. They did a good job on telling the story with Gustav's death.
Yes.
It was not fun to go through.
If death is fun to go through, then we have a problem.
Well, yeah, it's not meant to be
Yes.
fun from a story perspective. It's meant to make you feel things.
Yes. That's what it's meant to do. If you don't feel things, that's usually, not all the time, because there's always the you don't connect with cartoon characters or
Yeah.
inanimate characters or characters on a page. And if they die, then you're like, oh, whatever. Yeah, there's that. But if you actually do feel something for characters,
Mm-hmm.
fictional characters, and you don't feel something for their death, that usually means either the peoples that created those characters or that scene did not do something right. Usually,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. If you do feel something, then they did it right. They made you feel and connect with this character enough that you actually care something about them and what happens to them. Which, that was Gustav. Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, oh,
Oh no! Oh no! He's gonna die, isn't he? Oh no! That doesn't look good. I think he's dead.
yes, basically.
Yeah.
And sort of, kind of, around that is that I liked how they handled it with the characters after that fact.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just like, oh, I'm crying. I can get over it now in like 2 minutes.
No, no. All the characters' reactions to it, I think, were believable and realistic for those characters.
Yes. Um, because like Mael, it took her a while to
Mm-hmm.
get past that, and then she channeled it more into, we're gonna go take down the paintress. I am going to do this roar and
Yeah.
rage and sort of thing, and didn't really get over it until later, and then finding out more things, and then it was like, okay, so yes, we're still going and taking down the paintress, but there's more things at play here.
Mm-hmm.
And to Mael again is that she also has the problem of that she doesn't show her emotions with others quite as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
she bottles it up, and until she has that person, which for her for the longest time was Gustav, to open up to be a younger woman that's trying to grow up in this age of everyone being erased.
Yeah.
Um, and she's like, I need to be an adult to go do this, to do that. And Gustav is the one that she was more of a kid to, or a younger person to.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he died and she bottles up, she doesn't have that person to go to and cry out, this happened, that happened, and just go, the world's against me, and so forth. So she just bottles it up
Yeah.
until later.
And from a storytelling perspective, in some fashion, Gustav probably needed to lead the story to make make room for Mile to grow up and have some character growth, as well as give the other characters more personal reason to go after the paintress.
Yes. Rather than we just want to stop the grammage.
Mm-hmm.
Blamage. Sorry.
Which, while that does give them some personal reason, as all of them have lost someone important to them to the Gommage.
Well, it's a whole, we are going to take people from this age and just
Mm-hmm.
erase them.
Yeah, but also that's one of those that eh, they've expected it to happen for a long time leading up to it, unless a miracle happens and they stop the Gommage,
Yeah.
which is kind of the whole thing they're fighting for.
Mm-hmm. It's just that's like the setup
Mm-hmm.
essentially. This is the game. They are
Yeah.
going to stop this entity from erasing them. That's been doing this for years. Everyone at a certain age.
Yeah.
Granted, you learn about the certain age slightly later, but
Yeah. Um. The other thing is that Gustav dying gives the player a reason to a want to uh, defeat Renoir, especially with that first fight against Renoir,
yes.
and then also try and make sure that you are able to make these characters succeed in their mission for the sake of Gustav.
Well, another reason
Well,
of
yeah.
more.
Other than just it's a game you want to play it and eventually complete it.
Yes. I mean, that's kind of why you start a lot of games.
Yeah. You start a game to play it.
Yes. And then if you like it enough, you go to the end and finish it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, you toss it aside,
Yep.
essentially. I mean, it's the same thing with like reading books or watching shows, movies, or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we have finished Gustav for the most part, I think.
well, we mainly talked about stuff around Gustav. We didn't really talk about
Well,
Gustav all that
that is
much.
true, but there wasn't. That's the thing about Gustav is he's kind of almost plain in comparison with a lot of them.
Yeah, really. Yeah, all you really get about Gustav is that, I mean, with the Gommage, you get a very immediate reason for Gustav to want to end the Gommage.
Yeah, I mean, he basically had his.
Mm, X, technically. They did
Well,
separate,
they separated, but they
but on friendly
still.
terms.
Yeah, they wanted to be together, and it was kind of like, oh, we're separating because I have the Gamage this year. This
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it's like, is that real? I was going to say, like, beloved sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
Is kind of where. Basically, she was part of the Gamage in the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And that leads to really Gustav going, okay, I am getting people and we're going on this expedition 33 to go stop the Paintress and the
Yeah.
Gamage.
And at that point, Gustav was going to be part of the Gommage the next year, and he didn't really have a whole lot of reason to stay in Lumiere or to really live for that matter.
I mean, all he had really was Mael and his sister.
Yeah, which his sister was coming along.
His sister was not coming along. She stayed with the orphans. That was the woman in the big
Oh,
hat.
right, sorry.
You're mixing up characters, I think. You only
Yes.
saw her like maybe 2 times,
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. Um, and in the beginning, essentially. And Mael was coming with him, so
Yeah.
there wasn't a whole lot. The thing about Gustav is, though, you kind of needed to start with him
Yeah.
just because he was the reason for how many people actually joined the expedition and people looked up to him. He made the oh, what's it called with the Pictos, the
Lumina.
yeah, Lumina. He made he didn't actually make Lumina, but he made it work.
Yeah.
He made the grapple hook that you could use and stuff, and made that work and stuff so that they could actually do more, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also the one that's kind of, I wouldn't say like he's totally optimistic, but he's a little bit more optimistic than a lot of the others.
Yeah.
And he was kind of the glue to keep everyone going forward
Mm-hmm.
for the beginning of the game. And for everyone to believe that potentially they have a chance to stop the Gamage, to reach the Paintress and be done with all of this. Until you basically get to his death scene. And then it's like, oh, there goes our optimism
Yeah.
and
But then
glue and stuff.
the start of Act Two is a lot of the characters figuring out what they're going to do from now on.
Yes. Um, but that was basically Gustav in a nutshell, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And so he didn't really have the, I guess you could say, main character feel to him and personality.
Well, not to mention that the gameplay features specific to him, while effective, was honestly kind of simple compared to some of the other characters.
Yes. And again, this is all pointing to him not being there for a long time.
Yeah.
You might have went, I really want him to stick around,
Mm-hmm.
but everything was pointing to death flags everywhere.
Yep.
Shall we move on from Gustav?
Probably.
Because I think we got Gustav down now.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
So we have Lune.
Lune.
Lune. Lune, Ciel, Monoko,
And Verso.
and Verso.
And Mael.
Mael. Which, do we want to leave Verso and Mael for the end?
Probably.
Okay. So that basically means Lune or Ciel. Lune you get very early on.
Yeah. She is the second character you get after Gustav.
She is also probably slightly simpler to deal with than some of the other ones, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Because for the most part, I'm just going to do Lune. She's kind of set up as I am the researcher smart sort of woman
Mm-hmm.
that can do decent damage.
Yeah. And mm, and also she, from a gameplay perspective, is very versatile because she can heal, she can revive, she can do pretty much every type of damage,
Yeah.
just about.
Yeah.
As well as some buffs as well, if I remember correctly.
Yes, she can do some buffs. It I believe also she could do more if you put on certain pictos on her.
Yeah, with certain Pictos, a lot of characters can do a lot of funky things.
Yes. Um but she was kind of like the all arounder is almost
Mm-hmm.
like she can do a lot of different things and she's like almost meant to be a mainstay in any party you put
Mm-hmm.
together sort of thing. Um Personality wise she's very, I wouldn't really say soft spoken, but she's not loud.
Yeah, she's not outspoken.
Yeah, she's kind of she's very driven and once she has a goal she's like we need
Yeah.
to do it here.
Um, and honestly, how she kind of copes with grief and such is she throws herself into her work.
Yes, she is that type.
Yeah.
Granted, one thing about her character is, and I don't know, I mean, I know from an aesthetic point of view why they did this, but I don't know why in game. But she is barefoot, and I never really quite understood in game why. And she floats basically. So it's like, does she have something on her feet that she can make herself float? And she needs basically bare feet to do it rather than. I mean, it is hinted at. I don't know if it actually says that the um, sort of tattoos, the golden,
Yeah.
is kind of the way that they use their abilities to do certain things,
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. So it might be that she literally can't have boots on or shoes on to float and use.
Or what's going to happen is if she does, they're going to end up burning up or something
Burning
when she
up,
uses magic.
or she floats out of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was never explained. It was kind of like this is an inference for on my
Mm-hmm.
part. But that's one thing about her character that I'm like, I mean, aesthetically, I understand why they did this and that, but it's like, why is she barefoot? In an in-game reason, there's not
Mm-hmm.
really one truly given.
Mm.
She's kind of like the mage of any RPG sort of game.
Yeah.
Is kind of what, um, and she really doesn't give you a lot about her personally for the most part. You kind of have to drag it out of her.
Yeah, she is definitely more closed off.
Yes.
Mm, I guess, was there much more I wanted to say about Loon? I mean, other than we could get into
Okay,
her.
is it Loon or Lune?
Oh, sorry. It is Lune, I believe, is how they pronounce it.
Okay, that's what I'm like. I thought it was Lune, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Um, I
Is we could get into the specifics of her backstory and things of that sort, but
I think that should
just
be another. Either you, the listener, goes and looks it up or plays the game, or this. I don't think we need to hash
yeah.
it out here. Which this is just literally us going. We like this game.
Mm-hmm.
We like this game.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell.
Yeah. So I guess moving on to Seal,
Yes. Um.
who
Uh.
uh,
Where to start with her?
well, I guess first of all, even though well, it's not really the case, she seems like the oldest in the party.
Yes, she seems like the oldest.
Even though everyone except, well, Mael, Verso, and Monoko are all around the same age.
But I will say that sometimes what you experience ages you.
Yeah, yeah.
And she probably has more experiences than the rest,
Mm-hmm.
technically. Like life experiences.
Yeah.
Because she was married before,
Mm-hmm.
uh, was pregnant, and then lost the child, uh, then also tried to kill herself, and then was saved, and then turned her life about, and then went into, okay, I am going to take down the paintress because she took so much away from me.
Yeah. And also along the way lost her husband as well.
Well, yes. Well, that was before she actually lost the child and
Mm-hmm.
tried to kill herself.
Yep.
Because the losing the child was the just over the top, she couldn't handle it, and
Yeah. So to say she has more life experience than a lot of the other characters would be true.
yes. Um when you actually meet her is after the fact, and she is basically, I am going to fight whatever
Mm-hmm.
comes in front of me that I consider an enemy, and I am going to go and do my job and beat up the paintress so we can stop the gamage and potentially not have any more people lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then later in the story, it was like, oh, we could actually have people back. Then it was, oh, I want my husband back.
Yep.
You don't get to say that I don't get my husband back. Yeah, sort of thing.
Yep.
She is, how should I put this? Probably the more openly emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that in like crying all the time, because that is not the only emotion.
Yeah.
It's just that she is more open with her emotions.
Yeah, she doesn't really you know, bottle her emotions up or hide them as much.
Yeah. She tends to go, oh, I'm mad now.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever she does to release that anger, she does that.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, I'm sad. Listen to my story now. Just stand there and listen for me, okay? Okay, we're good. Is
Mm-hmm.
kind of how she's set up. And it's not in such, the creators did not make her seem so flippant about it, and
Mm-hmm.
or that she's just going, oh, emotions. I went through those emotions, and like it, the character is just wearing hats and changing them.
Yeah.
It was more natural in the change.
But also, she is a character that does have control over her emotions. She doesn't get overwhelmed by them.
Yes.
So, she is very strong mentally.
Well, she had her breaking point
Yeah,
essentially.
she already
So
passed it and is still around.
yeah, so it's kind of like I already went through the worst thing that could happen to me, so and I'm still here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of her character in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that she is emotionally what is the word I'm looking for? Basically she while she is more emotional, it makes her better at handling all the emotions. So, grief, yes, she feels it. She feels sadness and this, but she takes her time to go, okay, I am sad. I am grief stricken here, and now it's time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Which that is actually a stronger mentally and emotionally person than someone that bottles it up or just goes, oh, I'm not feeling that now.
Yeah.
The avoidance sort of.
Or denial.
Yes. Well, there's avoidance and then there's denial.
Mm-hmm.
There's slight differences between the two, but there is a slight difference. But she, but she never feels like the leader to me.
No. No.
She's always kind of like, oh, I am the support, but the support, what in other RPGs would be like support DPS.
She feels like she'd be like the second in command or something.
Yes.
Where her she might be handling all the details of something and the nitty gritty and all that, and background work and organizing all that.
I don't know if she would actually be that because that sounds a little bit more like Lune. The
Mm.
She would be like the captain going out with the team to do stuff,
Mm.
but not actually doing the overall, okay, leader, this is what you do, this is what do this and that sort of thing. She's the one to go do things. At least that's my impression of her.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but she's also the one to kind of also pull the somewhat motherly figure in a way.
Mm-hmm.
The it's okay to cry, it's okay to do this, it's okay to be mad, you can do this. You will get through it. I will protect you sort of thing. And that's kind of what I got from her.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We may have had some interruptions
Yes.
because we're popular.
Very popular.
Yeah. Anyways, as we were saying, CL definitely seems like, eh, mm, in some regards, partially the backbone of the group.
Yes. In definitely some regards. She's the one that essentially kind of holds everyone up. Not
Mm-hmm.
together, just up.
Yeah.
Lune is kind of like sort of the make sure everyone has this, that, and the other thing, and
Mm-hmm.
the okay, we need to go here and plan sort of stuff. And Gustav was the glue that kept everyone sort of upbeat, going together to some
Mm-hmm.
degree. Except when in the beginning of Act 1. Then he was a little less, but once he got going, then it was really the glue. Um, and then Ciel is the backbone, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess who do you want to move on to now?
I think they kind of go together.
Because we have Monoko, Verso, and Mael.
Are we doing SK in there too?
Mm, probably in with Monoko.
Minoko slash Verso?
Hmm,
Because those three kind of are like
yeah.
all
Okay.
together slightly. Well, I mean, all of them kind of go together in slightly different ways, but they're.
Yeah. So, I guess next we have Verso, who during Act 1 you don't really even know he exists for the most part.
You only have. You only saw him like once, I think.
Yeah. Mm, but he appears when Gustav dies, basically,
Yes.
to rescue the rest of the party and to stop Renoir from doing whatever he was doing.
Yes.
And he is basically a copy of Verso from outside the painting, created by the paintress.
When you meet him, you don't exactly know that, but you know he knows more than he's telling you.
Yes, you know that pretty early on that he is hiding things.
Even though you basically play as him for that
Mm-hmm.
whole act, and it's like, okay, so you know all of this, but you're not telling us, and you're not telling your companions. Okay, so what exactly do you know?
And are you really on our side?
Yes, it was
Or are
another.
we going to lose you too, but this time due to betrayal?
Well, okay. When he came in, I did have the thought that he was going to end up dying at the end. I know it's a theme in this. You get main character die, but he was going to end up dying because it was going to be against at that time it was mostly going to be the paintress was my thought of the final battle. He was going to use up everything he had and basically save you guys by dying, essentially. It was kind of
Mm-hmm.
where I was thinking. Don't mind the cat.
Assuming you heard it.
Yes, assuming. Um, but that was my thought when
Mm.
not that early on, but when he started talking, the way he was talking about himself and the battles ahead and stuff, it was just like it seems like he's setting himself up for I'm just gonna die.
Well, it also doesn't help that Verso shared a lot of similarities with Gustav.
Yes.
Like, Verso took all of Gustav's weapons.
I wasn't gonna go that far, but yes, yes.
And all those weapons that Gustav didn't get any special abilities from, Verso gets special abilities from.
Yes.
Yep.
Um, but basically, they set it up that Verso takes this place of Gustav, and
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of the character you're running through most of the rest of the game as. Which is kind of an interesting because you're playing as this main character that knows everything, but you as the player do
Yeah,
not.
you know very little about what's going on.
So basically, you're running around as this character that's going, I know blah 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 this, and you're like, wait, what? How do you know this? And it's like, there was a slight disconnect with it, but at the same time, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, I want to know more of the stuff that you know.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting way and different way of that they decided to go when they changed protagonists,
Yeah,
essentially.
because they could have just changed the protagonist they're playing to Mael.
Yes, they could have.
You know, especially since in a lot of ways she is the main character of the whole story.
Yes, she is. It's kind of like if you read a book that is about someone, but you are literally following someone else.
Mm-hmm. And it's being told from the perspective of different people around that person.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. I guess it'd be somewhat a style of third person protagonist. Or second person protagonist.
Eh, sort of. The most popular version or media that I can think of that's that sort of way um, is probably sort of the Game of Thrones series and stuff, especially the novella that's the House of Dragon that's based off of, is kind of, it's written by multiple people's one person that is talking about these people that are the main characters, sort of thing. And that's kind of how it ends up.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing really like those series.
Yeah. I think technically it'd be what people would consider a second person perspective on a story, where it's told about a character separate from the perspective you're from, but it's told from someone's perspective.
It's almost like a biography, sort of, or historical fiction where you're talking
Mm.
about this character, but it's you're following this other character
Mm-hmm.
that's within that time frame.
Yeah.
Anyways, we should probably move away from that before we get too
Yeah.
bogged down in it.
But yeah, Verso basically replaces Gustav in a lot of ways. He's even from a gameplay perspective takes the place of.
Yes. Um, I mean, uh, in a gameplay perspective, they needed to do it that way
Yeah.
because you put so much time into Gustav that it's like if
In
you didn't, if you basically felt like you wasted that, then it's like,
yeah, and into planning your party dynamic around that.
yes, because you, well, they kind of play a little bit differently, but yeah, so yes, Verso basically takes the place of Gustav, and it makes it so that you're not wasting time leveling up all the weapons and stuff and Pictos
Mm-hmm.
that are for Gustav, because if you did that, then it would just feel really wasteful.
Mm-hmm.
And if people replayed and they knew that, they would be like, "Oh, I'm not leveling anything up for Gustav
Yeah.
because I know he's gonna die and so forth." And
Yep. Yeah. I guess. Is there technically all that much more we wanted to say on Verso?
not without including some of the other characters.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is like personality is kind of, he's actually similar to Gustav. He's kind of a bit. he's probably a little bit more lighthearted in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. Because he does try to lighten the mood if the whole company is kind of feeling a little down. But
Mm-hmm. And then him with Minoko.
yes, but that's not always seen by the other peoples.
Also true, but mm, the relationship between him and Minoko is,
Entertaining.
yes.
It is basically they are friends. They are good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And you can throw in SK in there too.
Yeah.
Granted, you learn later why,
Yes.
or more why they have such a connection.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, since they're one of the, well, SKA and Monoko are some of the few people that A, Verso is friendly with, and B, aren't limited by the Gamage on their lifespan.
well, that and if I remember correctly, they are also the first things that Verso created and brought in.
Yes, and
Well, I don't know if Verso brought it in or the Paintress
um
brought them in for Verso that was in there.
well, I think really the only things the painters created are the, you know, alternate versions of their family, that being Verso, Renoir,
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth,
Well, well,
as well as maybe some of the enemies you fight.
I think that was more Renoir, but I'm not like 100% sure on that. I just what I remember is that Verso created them, the outside Verso,
Yeah, and
and I don't remember if he put them into the painting or if the paintress put them into the painting to be with the Verso that the version that was in there.
if I'm pretty sure that the original Verso created them in the painting and went on adventures through the painting with them,
Okay, that's where I was kind of like,
which is part of why they got along with the other Verso so well.
yes.
And then technically along with that, Minoko and Noko were made based off of the original Verso's pet dogs.
Yeah.
And that's where the names came from.
But yeah, it's one of the reasons why they live so long and they are attached with Verso and so forth and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Minoko is very. He really likes to battle, to fight, to just go at
Well,
anything. And
mm,
feet.
well, the feat is because he has this special ability to transform into various creatures if he has their feet.
Yes, but some of them I wonder what the hell is a foot on that thing.
That is true. You have like these floating things that don't even have legs, and he somehow gets a foot from that.
Yes, I don't know. He just somehow gets a foot.
Yeah.
But yes, he really likes to battle. Uh, Granted, there's also the he likes to almost argue, debate,
Mm-hmm.
banter with peoples too.
Of course, the liking to battle is just all Gestrels practically like to battle.
Yes, but he's very,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess should explain sort of what a gestural is slightly. They're kind of like mannequin dolls or artist dolls. The little
Yeah.
art dolls is kind of what they look like. Minoko is like that, but very furry and almost looks like a monkey.
Yes.
But yeah, Minoko is kind of simplistic in the actual personality wise, in a sense, compared to
Mm-hmm.
some others. I'm not saying he is 2D or anything, but
No, he's definitely not a flat.
yeah, he's not flat. It's just that he's very simplistic in what he likes, doesn't like, and what he goes for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Same with SK, which SK does not fight really.
Though if he did, the game would have been a lot shorter.
Yes, because he's the most powerful being in the game,
Yes.
technically, or in the world.
I mean, you see him take down some giant enemy with just a laser beam. Um,
Yeah. Yes. He is supposedly the most powerful being in the world, but he doesn't like fighting.
yeah.
He is such a pacifist. He's like, oh, go get stuff from this grumpy person. I don't want to fight him. Is essentially what he does. So,
Mm-hmm.
he is such a pacifist, but he likes helping people too. Especially if it's getting around places or going here or,
Yeah.
oh, you want this drink? I have it. Let me just bring it out.
Yep.
But he is essentially set up to be how you run around the world.
Yes, he is essentially in the world map the person you use to fly around, run around, swim around, destroy obstacles.
Yes. Um and he is again kind of simplistic in the personality department, not flat, but just simplistic. He's just kind of like, I get to go around the world with my friends. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of how he's set up. And oh, you're sad. Now I'm sad. So we should make ourselves happy again. Is kind of how he's
Mm-hmm.
written. And that's not a bad thing with all the characters you have
Yeah.
that you're dealing with. He's kind of the lighter hearted sort of,
Big huggable marshmallow.
yes, of the group. He I mean, he's always up for a hug. He's like, "You want a hug?"
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. It's like, "Yes, I need a hug." It's like, "Okay, let me just hug you."
You think it might be time for Mael?
Oh gosh. Probably. Which actually might go quicker than we think.
Yeah. So, Mael, as you learn after Act 2, the Mael you're playing is technically the original Mael from outside the painting who went into the painting, botched up the entering the painting, and was essentially he for the time reborn in the painting without most of her memories.
Well, her botched up was she went in and didn't calm herself. She
Yes.
went in with anxiety, and that made it so that she essentially sort of split herself in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's not until essentially you enter Act 3 where she remembers things.
Well, I think she was forced to sort of remember, but
Yes. Yeah. But she is the youngest in the group and also, honestly, probably the least mature.
yes, this is sort of her growing up story, is kind of
Mm-hmm.
how it's. If we were going to put a title or a genre,
Mm-hmm.
well, not really a genre, but a story plot to it,
Yeah.
this is sort of a growing up story for Mael.
Yep.
In a way. But then there's other plots that you can throw into because it's basically kind of a hero's journey too.
Yeah.
If we were going to break it down to the very basics.
Mm-hmm. It is basically a mixture between many different things.
Yes.
Like a painting in colors.
Oh, okay.
It works.
Yes. Yes, it does. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah. Mm, but yeah, throughout the story, she does a lot of growing. Mm,
Yes.
until eventually, by the end, she has probably mostly been able to mm, move on from her brother's death.
Yeah. To a degree. I
Yeah,
mean, it depends on what ending you go with, really.
yeah.
But
But also, I haven't seen the ending where
yes.
you choose to have Miles stay.
Yes. I'm just saying that if you chose the ending where she stayed, it might have been a little bit different and you might have thought differently that she
Hmm.
didn't let go.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also down to you playing as Verso and choosing, are you going to force her to accept this, that this world cannot survive the
Mm-hmm.
way it is? And if you stay, yes, you can have all these people again, be a family, and be
But
a
it
whole again.
is not what's best for her as far
Yes.
as Verso would probably be concerned.
Yes. And so it's kind of your decision of like, what do you want for her
Mm-hmm.
in a way? And you chose to fight her and send her out of the painting and basically essentially destroy the painting
Yeah,
for
and
all intents and purposes.
basically force her to confront that Verso's gone. Her emotional crutch of the painting is gone.
But it's not just her, too, of this
Yeah,
emotional
and
crutch.
also the paintress's emotional crutch of the painting is gone, and they are kind of forced to confront that and eventually accept it.
Yes. Um, but in a way, it's essentially Verso's decision for this.
Mm-hmm.
In a small way, it's a different version of Verso, but it's Verso's decision going, I created this, I'm gonna stop this, and you can't come in again, and I will
Mm-hmm.
destroy this, sort of thing. Because this is what's best for you. And so, in a way, I was right. If you choose that ending, he does end up dying and giving up his life for everyone.
Yeah, just not in the way you expected.
No, no, no.
No, no, you expected that everyone would include everyone but Verso, whereas that everyone was just Mael.
Yes, technically. Um, but yeah, and I guess we should say that Mael is only Mael in the painting
Mm-hmm.
because she's Alicia outside.
Yes, because due to being reborn in the painting, her her parents in the painting named her Mael.
Whereas outside she's Alicia, and you actually meet her slightly other version
Mm-hmm.
throughout the game, and it's like
And it's like
you look very similar, except you have lost a mask for the longest time, and then you have burns.
in white hair.
Yes, it's like okay.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you met her, it was almost always
Yeah,
of grayscale.
and also uh, you often met her in this weird dreamscape as Mael. Uh,
Mm.
and some of the times Renoir was there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas sometimes you did meet her sometimes as Verso, but that was you knew it was in the real world, but there were some times where it's grayscale.
Yeah. It's just that I noticed that every time you met her, basically, it was like grayscale with her.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you fought her, it was grayscale.
Yeah.
Well, she was grayscale. Your character was not grayscale.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess that's kind of to say she is not the real version then, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not even really a version in the painting.
No.
She's this funky.
She was very much just the paintress's impression of the current Alicia.
Yes. Which that version is does grow the more you meet her and stuff, but there's not a lot to her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know if we have anything more on that
No.
beyond. It's a good game. Yes, you should go play it
It,
if it's what you kind of want.
and if it's the kind of story you would like, then should definitely go play it. And if actually gameplay wise, you liked the Super Mario RPG or something along those lines, the gameplay is similar to that. The
Okay,
story very different, but gameplay it's like that.
yeah. Um, I would say don't rush through it.
No.
Do not just go from point A to point
Yeah.
B, and don't go into like the other little islands you can go to or
Mm-hmm.
this, because you do get stuff from that, and you do get a little bit of more to the story or this world that you're
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Give yourself time to digest the part of the story you just went through and explore the areas available to you.
Um, and if you do need to take a break though, because that's
It is not an easy story emotionally
yeah,
to go through.
just take a break. Just stop, take a break, and do something else for a little bit, then come back. But don't leave it for very long because you don't want to lose all that information and
Mm.
muscle memory you built up. But it is a good game. A very good game.
Mm-hmm.
Very pretty game, too.
Yes. Very pretty game, very good music, very good story.
It's an all around very good game. We're just going to
Yes.
keep saying this.
Anyways, that is us done with this
The
episode.
of babbling.
Lots of babbling and
Well,
rambling.
it wasn't too much rambling. We didn't get that off topic.
Except for now.
Yes.
Anyways, goodbye.
Later.